Ignaz Semmelweis begins work at Vienna General Hospital's first obstetrical clinic, where mothers die at 3 times the rate of the second clinic. He witnesses women begging to avoid admission, some pleading on their knees, desperate to escape the ward's deadly reputation. The second clinic, staffed by midwives, has a mortality rate under 4%. The first clinic, run by doctors and students, averages 10%, sometimes rising to 18%. The discrepancy haunts Semmelweis, who cannot understand why one ward kills so many while the other does not. Women begin giving birth in the streets, pretending to arrive already delivered, just to avoid the first clinic. Semmelweis sees this and wonders, what protects those who deliver outside? Something about the hospital itself must be causing harm. He rules out overcrowding. The second clinic is more crowded. Climate is the same. He changes birthing positions, thinking posture might affect outcomes. He even suspects the priest's arrival with last rites frightens women into fever, but altering the route changes nothing. Then, in 1847, his friend Jakob Kolechka dies after a student's scalpel nicks his hand during an autopsy. The autopsy shows signs identical to puerperal fever, sepsis, inflamed organs, decay. Semmelweis sees the connection immediately. Doctors and students move from autopsy straight to examining living patients, hands still carrying residue of dead tissue. Midwives never perform autopsies. Semmelweis realizes the doctors themselves are spreading something lethal from corpse to mother. He calls it cadaverous particles, an invisible contaminant. No one knows germs yet, but he knows decay transfers disease. He orders all staff to wash hands in chlorinated lime solution before touching patients. The solution removes the smell of rot, suggesting it destroys the poison. He insists on thorough scrubbing between every patient and every autopsy. Resistance begins immediately. Some mock him, others ignore the rule. April 1847, mortality in the first clinic is 18.3%. By June, it drops to 2.2%. July, 1.2%. August, 1.9%. For the first time since anatomical training began, 2 consecutive months show 0 deaths. The second clinic's rate stays below 4%. Now the first clinic matches it. Semmelweis has proof hand washing saves lives, but his triumph is short-lived. The medical establishment does not celebrate. They dismiss him. Doctors feel insulted. They are gentlemen. How can their hands be dirty? Some say Semmelweis is exaggerating. Others claim he has discovered nothing new, ignoring that he identified a preventable cause. Ferdinand von Hebra publishes Semmelweis's findings in a medical journal, praising their significance. He compares the discovery to Jenner's smallpox vaccine. But Semmelweis has not written anything himself. His work spreads through others. A former student presents Semmelweis's method before the Royal Medical Society in London. The Lancet publishes a review. Another publishes in France. Momentum builds, but misinterpretations spread just as fast. Some physicians believe Semmelweis merely confirms Holmes's earlier claim that childbed fever is contagious. But Semmelweis goes further. He identifies the vector cadaveric matter on doctors' hands. Semmelweis refuses to publish. He wants action, not debate. But without a written account, others distort his message. He grows frustrated, watching lives lost while hospitals refuse to change. Political unrest sweeps Europe in 1848. In Vienna, students protest. Semmelweis, Hungarian-born, likely sympathizes. His superior, Johann Klein, is a conservative Austrian, distrustful of revolutionaries. When Semmelweis's term ends, Klein appoints Karl Braun instead of renewing his position. Support from Rokitansky and Koda is overruled. Semmelweis is dismissed from the clinic. He petitions to become a docent, allowed to teach but not access cadavers. Klein blocks him. Months pass. Finally, in October 1850, he is granted the title, but only for theoreticals obstetrics. He is given mannequins to teach with, no real patients, no autopsies. He leaves Vienna abruptly, without farewell. He returns to Pest, unwilling to endure more rejection. Pest has been ravaged by war. Troops from the Austrian Empire suppress the Hungarian uprising. Hospitals are understaffed, conditions poor. Semmelweis takes an unpaid position at St. Rochus Hospital. In 1851, he becomes head physician of the obstetric ward. He finds childbed fever rampant, corpses, agonized patients, others near death. He institutes hand washing with chlorine solution immediately. Over the next 6 years, only 8 women die from puerperal fever out of 933 births, less than 1%. The results are clear, yet other doctors in Budapest refuse to adopt his methods. Professor Ed A. Florian Burley insists fever comes from bowel uncleanliness, not doctors' hands. He prescribes purgatives. Semmelweis argues, but his voice is ignored. He writes letters, angry, urgent. He sends open letters to European obstetricians calling them murderers for ignoring his findings. Colleagues grow concerned. His wife Therese fears he is losing his mind. In 1861, he finally publishes his book, Etiology, Concept and Prophylaxis of Childbed Fever. It compiles years of data, charts, arguments. but the medical world still rejects it. The scientific community demands a theoretical explanation. Semmelweis cannot provide one. Germs are not yet accepted. His evidence is observational, not mechanistic. Critics call it anecdotal. Pasteur has not yet proven germ theory. Koch has not formulated his postulates. Without a framework, Semmelweis's discovery seems mystical to many, not scientific. He continues writing, growing more desperate. His language turns bitter. He accuses doctors of negligence, of killing women through pride and ignorance. In 1865, his behavior alarms colleagues. They suggest he needs rest. He is invited to visit a new mental asylum near Vienna, Landesirrenanstalt Döbling. He goes willingly, believing it a retreat. But upon arrival he is seized. Guards force him into a cell. He resists. They beat him severely, fracturing his right hand. A wound on his right hand becomes septic, possibly from the beating, possibly from prior injury. The infection spreads. He develops fever, delirium, septic shock. 14 days after admission, he dies at age 47. The cause, gangrenous wound, septicemia. The irony is unbearable. He dies from the very condition he spent his life trying to prevent. His wife, Therese, retrieves his body. She preserves his writings. She knows he was right, even if no one else saw it. Years pass. Pasteur confirms germ theory. Lister introduces antiseptic surgery. Koch identifies bacteria causing specific diseases. Suddenly, Semmelweis's work makes sense. Doctors realized Semmelweis was not mad. He was ahead of his time. His hand-washing protocol was not superstition. It was science, long before science could explain it. Hospitals adopt antiseptic practices. Mortality drops. His name resurfaces not as a fool, but as the savior of mothers. The man nobody believed becomes a pioneer. Historians debate whether he suffered a mental breakdown or was silenced for challenging authority. The asylum records are incomplete. The truth may never be fully known. What is clear, he saved hundreds in Vienna, hundreds more in Budapest. Thousands more would have lived had his method been adopted earlier. He offered a simple solution: wash hands with chlorine, not because they looked dirty, but because they carried invisible death. He did not understand microbes, but he understood transmission. He saw patterns others ignored. He acted when they hesitated. Resistance was not due to lack of evidence. It was due to ego, tradition, and the discomfort of being told one's hands are dangerous. Cleanliness was not valued in medicine. Surgeons wore coats stiff with blood. Pus was seen as natural. Washing hands seemed unnecessary, even absurd. Gentlemen did not need to wash. Their status implied purity. To suggest otherwise was an insult. Semmelweis challenged not just science, but social hierarchy. He was not the first to warn of contagion. Holmes, Gordon, and Watson had all made similar claims. But Semmelweis was the first to prove prevention worked. His data was rigorous. He tracked mortality before and after intervention. He showed causation through action, not just observation. Yet he failed to convince his peers, not because he lacked proof, but because he lacked allies. The system rejected those who threatened its foundations. His anger alienated supporters. His letters grew harsh. He called doctors murderers. While justified, the tone made them defensive, not receptive. Change requires not only truth, but persuasion. Semmelweis had the truth. He did not have the diplomacy. In death, he gains what life denied: recognition. Pasteur's work gives his findings a framework. Lister applies them surgically. The world catches up. By the 1880s, hand-washing becomes standard in hospitals. Antisepsis saves lives. Semmelweis is remembered not as mad, but as tragically right. His legacy is not just hygiene. It is the cost of being ahead of your time. It is the danger of speaking truth to entrenched power. He was not a theorist. He was a practitioner who saw suffering and acted. He measured results. He saved lives. That should have been enough. But medicine is not only science. It is culture. And culture resists change, even when lives depend on it. Today, hand hygiene is a cornerstone of patient safety. The WHO promotes it globally. Yet in many places, compliance remains low. The same resistance persists. Complacency, time pressure, belief that my hands are clean. Semmelweis's battle continues, even a century after his death. His story reminds us, simple actions can save lives. But adoption depends not on evidence alone, but on humility, openness, and the willingness to change.